Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're dropping right into the heart of a terrifying jungle to uncover the enduring power of a remarkably tiny hero. We're talking about a story that has literally survived millennia, crossed continents, and get this, actually shaped the minds of ancient kings. Let's get right into it.
So picture a sprawling forest, absolutely ruled by a tyrannical, vicious lion. And this lion isn't just hunting for food, right? He is killing indiscriminately. It's pure ego and bloodlust. The other forest animals are facing total extinction, so they broker this desperate, terrifying deal. They agree to willingly send one animal every single day to the lion's den just to be eaten, all to save the rest. It's basically a dark extortion racket. Eventually, the lottery of death falls to the absolute smallest, physically weakest animal in the whole forest, a tiny rabbit. But here's the thing. This rabbit doesn't just march to his doom. He deliberately dawdles. He takes his sweet time, purposefully arriving at the lion's den right at sunset, knowing full well the lion's going to be starving, pacing, and just absolutely furious.
When the little guy finally shows up, he doesn't cower. Instead, he brilliantly invents a lie. He looks up at this roaring beast and says, "I am so sorry I'm late, Your Majesty. There were actually 6 of us sent for your feast today, but another lion chased me on the way. He stole the other 5 rabbits and claims to be the new king of this forest." Now, what's fascinating here is the sheer psychological warfare taking place. The rabbit takes the lion's 2 biggest biological drivers, hunger and territorial dominance, and just pits them right against each other. By inventing this phantom rival, he completely redirects the lion's aggression away from himself and onto a perceived threat to the throne. This brilliantly illustrates a 3-step strategy. Step 1. Trigger the ego. The lion gets so infuriated by the mere idea of a rival king that he totally forgets he's starving. His pride just overrides his basic survival instincts. Step 2. Lure him to the trap. The rabbit promises to lead the enraged lion to this usurper's fortress, which, conveniently, happens to be a deep stone well. And then, Step 3. Let the lion's own nature do all the heavy lifting. The rabbit knows he doesn't need physical strength to win this. He just needs the lion to react exactly how a mindless, aggressive brute always reacts when provoked. So they get to the well. The rabbit points down into the dark water and whispers, "He's in there." The lion peers over the edge, sees his own reflection staring back, and lets out a massive, terrifying roar. And of course, the roar echoes off the stone walls, bouncing back at him twice as loud. Blinded by rage and, frankly, confirmation bias, the foolish lion impulsively plunges into the deep water to attack the rival he thinks is mocking him. Because the well is so deep and steep, the heavy beast can't swim or climb out. He drowns. He literally ends his own reign of terror, all without the rabbit having to lift a single paw. It is just a total, absolute victory of intellect over raw power. That brings us to Section 1, Origins of the Fable, a 2,000-year-old masterpiece. You see, this isn't just some simple bedtime story. We can actually trace this exact tale back to ancient India, originating from a monumental text called the Panchatantra. Historical sources suggest this masterwork was composed somewhere between 200 BC and 300 CE by a revered Hindu scholar named Pandu Vishnu Sharma. To put that massive timeline into perspective for you, this story of the rabbit and the lion was being told, shared, and studied while the Roman Empire was still actively expanding its borders. Much later, around 1925, scholars like Arthur Welby Ryder brought definitive translations of these ancient Sanskrit texts to the modern English-speaking world, perfectly preserving the depth of the original narratives. The crucial thing to understand here is what the Panchatantra actually was. It wasn't designed to entertain toddlers. No, it was a highly sophisticated manual of statecraft. Legend has it that Vishnu Sharma wrote these interwoven animal fables specifically to educate 3 dim-witted princes who were really struggling to grasp the complexities of leadership. So he used animals as avatars for human behavior to impart political strategy, ethical guidance, and practical survival wisdom. He was literally teaching future kings how to rule effectively, who to trust in a dangerous court, and most importantly, how to defeat enemy kingdoms that were way larger and stronger than their own.
Moving right along to Section 2, a global phenomenon, traveling across continents.
Because the story didn't just stay in ancient India. Between the 6th and 15th centuries, the Panchatantra embarked on his massive global journey. It traveled along the Silk Road and early trade routes, effortlessly crossing borders and cultures. It was translated from Sanskrit into Persian, Arabic, Greek, Hebrew, Latin, before finally making its way into modern European languages like English. The story of the clever rabbit and the foolish lion resonated with absolutely everyone who heard it, regardless of their geographical or cultural background. It really proves that our human appreciation for a good underdog story is entirely universal. I mean, it was essentially a viral phenomenon centuries before the internet even existed. Today, literary scholars track over 200 different versions of these exact stories existing in more than 50 languages worldwide. It stands as one of the most widely translated non-religious texts in the entirety of human history. That is a huge testament to the enduring power of its practical philosophy.
Its influence was so foundational that it actively helped shape early mass media. The structures of these fables heavily influenced other legendary collections of Middle Eastern storytelling, most notably the Arabian Nights. And when Johannes Gutenberg invented his revolutionary printing press in Europe in the 15th century, a translated version of these fables was among the very earliest books ever printed on it. People just couldn't get enough of this strategic wisdom, and that new technology allowed it to spread like wildfire.
Now, if you grew up in the West, you might actually be thinking of Aesop's fables right about now. And it's true, the ancient Greek storyteller Aesop also featured a fable about a lion and a hare, but the cultural application was completely different. In Aesop's version, the lion finds a sleeping hare, but lets it go to chase a much larger deer, a hart, that runs by. While the lion fails to catch the deer, goes back for the hare, and finds out it's woken up and escaped. So Aesop's moral focuses strictly on greed. Don't lose what you have in your hand for a chance at more. But the Panchatantra's version, the one we're focusing on today, features the rabbit actively outsmarting the lion. It is a completely different lesson in proactive strategy, using the exact same animals. And that takes us to our final section, Section 3, Brains over Brawn, the enduring moral.
This story just perfectly breaks down our two characters. The lion has all the advantages on paper, right? He possesses brute physical force, he holds absolute dictatorial power over the forest, but he's fundamentally flawed. He's arrogant, highly impulsive, and entirely driven by base instincts like hunger and ego. The rabbit, on the flip side, has zero physical advantages. He's small, physically weak, and completely alone. But he possesses wisdom, patience, and that incredibly rare ability to critically plan a multi-step strategy under immense life-or-death pressure. When provoked, the lion reacts, the rabbit calculates.
And that leads us to the ultimate moral derived from these historical texts. Wisdom outsmarts physical strength. Sure, brute force might win the day. It might win a sudden skirmish, but it's ultimately fragile if it isn't guided by intelligence. Intelligence, patience, and strategic thinking will reliably outmaneuver mindless aggression over the long term. This profound insight is exactly why a scholar over 2,000 years ago used this exact story to teach future kings how to survive and thrive in a really hostile world. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this 2,000-year-old challenge to consider in your own modern life. When you are faced with an overwhelming obstacle, maybe it's a difficult project at work, a massive personal problem, or even an intimidating adversary, will you react with impulse and frustration, or will you take a breath, pause, assess the psychology of the situation, and strategize your way through it? Basically, how will you use brains over brawn today? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.